like on the desktop,
Okay.
the whole folder. Just drag and drop. Yeah, open it from here. Better. Close the other one. It's only one. Okay. Okay. Hello, Nar. How are you, everyone? All good? All good? How was your weekend? How was your 15th August celebration? All good? What was the resolve that what was the commitment that you had for the country on the 15th August? Every year we take, right? On the New Year Eve, maybe Dasara, maybe Ugadi, we begin a new beginning, right? What was your commitment to this country?
This year, from my side, it was the freedom for every life. We see that Delhi, though, doctor, have to be change that. So,
Freedom for every life, huh? On your campus also, you got a lot of dogs, huh? Because every morning I go for almost 8 kilometer walk. Too many dogs. I'm scared. Then I pick up a stick. Then yeah, but that's a good one.
Hachi,
Archie is okay.
Hachi,
Excellent.
freedom.
Freedom for everyone. That's a good one. No, that's a good one. Not only thinking of Professor Murthy says it very nicely. I don't know how many of you attended 15th August flag hoisting on campus. How many of you live on campus? Only one? Two? Did you attend? I attended. Huh? Is it that you can't get up a day, or what is the you got up, but you attended? Oh, okay, good. What was the thing that he was saying? One of the key things that which struck me quite deeply was something very important. Growth has to be equal. You know cancer, right? In fact, I lost 2 days ago a very dear cousin of mine in her 60s died of cancer. Within 5 months, gone from detection to no more. What is cancer? Abnormal growth. Excellent. You made it a good point. So, Professor Murthy, now that you attended the flag hoisting, have you heard him speak? Did you pay attention? What did he say? Yeah, he said one thing that it's not that IIT is beautiful, right? This campus, but across the campus, like if you just look over the fence, the other side of the campus, not everything is as rosy as what you see on campus, right? People have huts. People don't even have proper roof to live under. And when you go, people begging, it's 1.4 billion people, right? Again, coming back to Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, right? We did not only say that humans have to be better, so all living beings have to be in sync with each other, and they should have their respectable place in the ecosystem and so on and so forth. So, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. Huh? These were some of the age-old philosophies that was driving this country for centuries, for millennia. What he said was, it's not that IIT grows, IITians grows, because again, I go back to what percentage of people we constitute in the country. 2, 3, 4%? 0.01. Especially IITs, yes, 0.01 or even less than that. But again, as elite as you, who can have a very decent life, not many are blessed with that. So when you have that parity of cost of living or income levels and so on and so forth, see, India will eventually get to that 30 trillion or whatever it is. Maybe some of us will be, most of you will be around, some of the older generation may not be around, and so on and so forth, right? And one of the key and most striking aspect of that development, that growth, is going to be the parity between haves and have-nots. Some people make billions, some people make barely $2 a day. Have you watched that video that I recommended all of you to watch? Gandhi Engineering? Did you watch? Yeah. So it's all about that, right? It's not affordability, but it is which what affordability he talks of. It's not just mere affordability which is important, but something more, ultra low cost. Because those people who make only $2 a day, just imagine for them, and then cost of pressure is going up and up, and even for middle class, it's a big struggle in the country. And I keep hearing a lot of people say, and we are in a very privileged position from that point of view. So again, the growth has to be equal. What he said is, can you please put up your hand who wants to volunteer to go into communities around the campus, the villages, and then a little further from villages, those who are not as privileged as us, those who cannot send their children to good schools, good colleges, and because they do not have affordability. So for them, you as a very privileged people should devote half a day of your month, should go and then educate them about how to send their children to good schools, so that they can aspire to become IITians as you all are, which is very bold call to me. So that's called, when the growth is that organic, it's not canceric. If it is canceric, then you've got problem. Why did we digress to that direction? Independence, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think that's a good cause. What I do, so okay, there's something called CSR, right? Do we know? Corporate. What I said is, this is my word, probably someone else may have already used. Every time I go, I say, I educate my own colleagues, my friends, my students, and so on. There's something called ISR. This is corporate. But corporate is a bunch of individuals, right? What is ISR stands for then? Individual social responsibility. So you and I have social responsibility, duty of care. Then what I do, whenever I come to India or also in Australia, what I do is I go to schools. Going to IITs, NITs, and the reputable things is good. Talking to brilliant students who have made their mark to come into such institutions or made some good careers. That's a good thing. It should happen. But also, to fulfill my ISR, what I do, I go to schools. I tell them what I tell them. I don't tell them science. I don't tell them any engineering. What I tell them? I tell them the etiquettes. I still see, because, sorry to say again, I'm not trying to point anyone's fault here. When I walk around again early in the morning, you got nice footpaths all around the campus. I don't know how many of you walked. Did you walk along the periphery? Okay.
inside the campus.
Like inside the entire, along the periphery, right? Yeah, yeah, you should walk. Again, that should be a mission. Every day you should go for a walk. I met you, right, the other day. What I found is, again, because people don't walk, the bushes are growing, and all these nice footpaths are kind of, enmeshed. Secondly, because of that, now those people who are walking, they are not walking on the footpaths. They're walking on the roads. But I, at least as far as possible, I try to walk on the footpath. So that's up. And again, when I go to schools, what I tell them is, I tell them, okay, why government should tell you that you should walk on the left on one side? People walk on the road, we see, right? And it causes a lot of inconvenience to people. Traffic jams. And everyone driving on the right-hand side of the lanes. No one wants to be on the left-hand side, because again, there are some issues there. People park, people don't go, people, park every now and then. People honk here too much. The other day, literally, I was in a car in Peddapalli going to my native place, and there was a bus also which was standing there next to us. And it was on the signal, red, right? Just it has become green, and this bus driver, literally, I got scared. And that too, it was a very loud noise. Honking in Australia is a penalty. Of course, right? In those who have lived in the foreign countries. And it may lead into altercations, fights, scuffles. If you honk for someone, they'll pull over and they say, then they'll give you all bad words that you can imagine. It's crime. And here it's habitual. And whenever I sit next to my cousin, he's driving, I ask him, why do you honk? He said, no, you have to do it. I said, I drive, because I drive here also. And I tell him, why don't you wear a seat belt? Why don't you stop honking? For no reasons, people honk it. And when I drive, I really, even here also, I hardly do it. So you can do everything without doing what everyone does, so that everyone feels some. And again, it's all about individuals, right? That's all individual social responsibility. And same with, spitting on the roads. In government offices, it's good that, pan lete and then they put, and it stinks. Yeah. So I can go on and on. We all feel the same. I'm sure, all of you are in the same league as I am. But again, it's all individuals who make up the country, or corporates, or the institutes. So unless we change, how can you be the person that you want to see, be the change that you want to see, be the change you want to see, right? So anyway, this is something I do, individual social response. I go to schools, I educate them. And then again, water, leaking taps. People fill the bottle, but they don't stop them. They run away and dripping. Lights. If you are the last person walking off, why don't you switch off the lights? Simple things. That's all about individual social responsibility. So everyone can do their bit.
I think this is like my perspective. So even in my hostel, I mean, it doesn't matter how much top institute you go to. That if your studies doesn't come, nobody can help.
If
In the sense that so we have ACs in our rooms, centralized ACs. When there are like situations of AC getting worse because people just doesn't switch it up. So on 15 August, I went to Kolkata Fort and I didn't know that there was a Independence Day celebration there. And I guess CM came there. And if you go to the top of the fort, there is like literally lots of plastic water bottles.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
the fact that they are allowing them selling plastic bottles there, being an ASL protected state. And I mean, it's just that I mean I don't want to generalize it, but we don't have basics sense here in India. And it is because that the way we are being grown up, early education system, we just literally totally fail to make that happen common sense here. I mean, it just that, like this is ours, and we carry our own water bottles for everywhere. But still, there are thousands of people here. I mean, you go seeing they'll just, throw their packets, but like, they will just pick it and throw it. It's still there. But in that, I mean, it feels so frustrating if you just go outside. I mean, if you go to high tech city and you go to the areas in Charminar and Kutub Shahi dogs area, it's literally so frustrating. There are like drain like situation even looking in the roads.
Yeah. No, I agree. So problems are multitude. But again, what I'm saying is at least the change that you want to make, you should begin. Yeah, yesterday I went to a function. Everyone was using the plastic bottles has become, you're right, very right.
Plus, they use plastic spoons. This is like basic thing here. At least we can change. But now you go and see, eat in most places here, they'll also use plastic spoons. Then why do you do that?
True. Um, I went to attend a wedding yesterday. And again, plastic bottles has become a norm, new normal now. People want to just use and throw. And that too, they're only 300 mil or less than that. Yeah, 300. For people like me, in one go, it's gone because I drink a lot of water. And then where does it end? It ends up in landfill. But my philosophy is refill. So yesterday I had about 7 bottles, Then I went and refilled. Then people were looking, "Hey, banda koi lab." So at least from my individual level, I try to do whatever I could. So that's what I say. You also should do because you are very elite class of this country. If you and I cannot think better of this country or good of this country, who will think?
But it's just so frustrating.
That's okay. There's so many things frustrating. Trump is very frustrating, right? So when we cannot change, right? That's called sphere of influence, sphere of yeah. So you should if you get frustrated, nothing you can achieve. But if you start acting, at least someone will notice. And people will do it. So I wear seatbelt now. Every time I hop onto any vehicle, I tell the driver, if you don't, then I'm going to get off. Driver लगाते हैं. You also should do that, in your own ways. Just try doing it. And I tell many people, don't speed on the roads. इसके लिए तो गवर्नमेंट का कुछ बोलने की जरूरत नहीं ना. यहाँ पे तो पान खाते हैं वो ऐसा करके to walk next to a bus is a scary situation because पता नहीं कौन कब तुकेगा. Anyway, a little bit of digress. So that's something that please you inculcate because some of you will end up becoming academics. So that's where you can inspire the next generation. Tell them it's your country. See, 1.4 billion. If we run out of water, God, what will do? Right? Good that we got good rains and everything, but it doesn't mean that you take things for granted. Yeah, it's 1.4. To see that difference, that impact is very hard, but somewhere someone has to begin. So just imagine politicians, they pick up something and then they become big leaders. Just, highlighting that same thing. Why can't you and I do what we believe? It is, I am sure some people are listening to me. As I said, when I go on a car, It's compulsory. My driver must be secured with seat belt. Otherwise, I'm not going to. My nephew and I used to have several arguments. And finally, I said, Mama, I'll put it now. So, okay, anyway. Today, we will look at something called skills, talent, requirements, and gaps. Again, these are very, very important areas because, again, this is skills, attitudes, what we were just discussing, also, right? So, just imagine if you have a school age student, if you start telling them good things, they will do it. Just see the difference between convent school, those who are convent education educated and government school educated. Because convents, they make sure that that's how they practice. That's what we should do. Persistence is a very important thing. So I have given you some excellent reports, and what I'm presenting in next hour or so is a gist of some of these excellent reports. One is the future of work, the changing skills landscape for miners. This is EY's report, a report for the Minerals Council of Australia. Minerals Council is the peak body of mining companies. So they kind of commissioned this report. So they did it. And this is IM3. Is anyone member of IM3 here? Materials, any materials people in the room? No. So you could become student member or graduate member and so on and so forth. I think it's very it's that's in the UK. So this report is entitled as the talent gap: critical skills for critical materials. What are those critical skills that are important? Then mining and mineral processing sector, climate change risks and opportunities. Because climate change is a big issue, right? Mining is one of the heavy polluters, as they say. Mining, cement, steel, and then smelting and processing of metals. Then female mining engineers, of course, I'm not saying mining, don't read mining, but minerals, let's say. So chemical engineers also work in mining for processing. The female, you'll see some of the gender issues there. And then this is a report commissioned by, can someone read this? Council for Mining Sector, Skill Council for Mining Sector. I think this is Federation of Indian Mineral Industries, FIMI. So that commissioned this report. Human resources and skills requirement in the mining sector in India between, I think this study was 2019 and 25. So I draw your attention back to this very important slide because I keep repeating it so that it gets embedded deep into your minds. Critical minerals are with some flaws. What are those flaws? Too much market concentration, and then price volatility. What else? Substitutes. Yeah. And then most critical minerals are extracted as co-products or byproducts or something else. Can you give me an example? What are critical minerals? Example. What did I say now? Most critical minerals are sourced as co-products or byproducts of something else. Can you give me an example? What is sourced of byproduct of what? What? Yeah. Copper. What are the two key byproduct metals out of copper? Selenium and tellurium. Excellent. Can you give me another example of gallium, where how gallium is extracted? Excellent. Bauxite, right? Aluminum. So that's another reason. And then what else? Unpredictable prices and heterogeneous products, high barriers to entry, poor availability of market information. And I said that if you look at copper, you can trace back almost 300 years. But for most critical minerals, which are exotic, you don't have information for last 10 years because it's monopolized by one country and they don't want to let go that monopoly so that they will lose that market advantage. Like if you're having some monopoly, you don't want to lose it, right? So that people only come to you because you become the main. This is my picture because when we when we went to governments saying that critical minerals have some specialist skills compared to the mainstream metals. First of all, we need to understand what are the critical minerals research entails. So one is helping the green energy transition. That's very important because most critical minerals are helping the green energy transition. What did we say? Out of 90 naturally occurring elements, how many of them are critical for energy transition? Are deemed to be important for energy transition? How many are naturally occurring substances in the periodic table? At least 90 we understand, right? 90. Out of 90, how many are deemed to be critical? Come on, what's happening? Huh? Around 50, right? Excellent. Around 50 are identified as critical for energy transition. By 25 sovereign entities. When you say sovereign entities, means sovereign countries. So 25 countries have commissioned critical mineral studies, and they identified out of 90, 50 are very, very important metals for energy transition. Yeah. So, environmental, then achieving environmental sustainability is very, very important. That means net zero. Then creating new job avenues because they will create new generation of opportunities. Because in the past, we used to only undertake mining for aluminum, gold, lead, zinc, uranium, silver, and so on and so forth. But now you're also undertaking mining for rare earth elements, you are undertaking mining for gallium, germanium, and so on and so forth. So that means more jobs will be created, right? More new industries. And then what are the kind of skills that is you're going to need? You're going to need people who have got mining knowledge, how to dig up stuff from the ground, where to dig up, where to find, etc. But before that, you also got geology. You remember in geology what we do? Reserves estimates. That's the key. Even Dr. T. Srinivas also spoke quite extensively about it. Because first of all, delineation of ore body is important. And once ore body is delineated or established, then you set up a mine on top of it. And then you start extracting. And then you start crushing, grinding, processing, liberating, and then finally converting them into metals. In fact, there's a nice story. Eliminate mining. Can you write it down? Eliminate mining. You should watch a YouTube video. Eliminate mining. It's all about if you stop mining, what will happen? So we'll go back to become apes. Literally, everything around us will fall apart. And then people start growing beards and then all their clothes. It's a nice video. It's only just a 2 minutes video, but you should watch it. Eliminate mining. So very, very important, right? So that reserves are very important, providing better understanding of grades and gangue minerals. Then you got geochemistry. Again, our chemical engineering friends will appreciate what's the importance of that. Understanding mineralogic signatures, very, very important. So in the next lecture, I'm going to talk about tomorrow or the day after. I'm going to talk about some of the key industry transitions that I have seen in past 25 odd years. Yeah? And then you got mining, you got material sciences. Again, people are trying to find new alloys, right? What did I say? Which is that alloy which makes aluminum become, which is that alloying element which makes aluminum behave like steel? What are, how many are rare earth element family? How many minerals we have? Huh? 17, right? So what do they comprise of? Lanthanides? Yeah, lanthanide. Then what else? Not cerium. No, no, lanthanides are that. That's lanthanides. Plus, which are the two metals that I said? Scandium and yttrium. Excellent. Scandium and yttrium. Now tell me, what is that element which becomes crucial in making aluminium stronger but yet lighter? Scandium, right? Scandium. When you add scandium to aluminium, it becomes still lighter because you need, for aircraft building, you need a metal which is lighter, but it has to be stronger as well. So that's where you use scandium. So most critical minerals have got some specialist metallurgical properties. And then you got mineral economists, you have extractive metallurgy, and you got advanced manufacturing, and then you got policy and governance. So as you can see, it encompasses quite a diverse area of expertise. And hence, skills are so fundamental. You may have sophisticated machines. See, now some countries, again, one of the speech director, one of the points director made in his Independence Day speech was Japan, right? And Japan is going through a crisis of low fertility. Not many people are born. People are not even ready to get married. And that will lead into a problem, right? And most Western countries are facing the same. In Australia also, now people are aging fast, and mining industry is one of the biggest sufferers there. Look at, people are aging, no new generation babies are born. That means in 100 years' time, they'll have huge problem, big problem. And same with Europe, same. Good that in India we got very good fertility, and then youth population. But India will also become the same. If you look at, there's a huge difference between south of India to north of India. South is already declining in terms of number of children per family. North of India is good, at least now. Okay, that's what is propelling India's growth. And India is, the Prime Minister always says the demographic dividend, the age group of, that youth, 20 to 30 or 35. We have the world's largest demography. Very important for productivity. So that's why the GDP per capita may not be actual indicator. That's what we say. For example, if you have to get same service, if I go to a barber and get a shave, in Australia, I have to pay nearly $25. They don't even touch your face. They will only do with that machine, haircut. Here, if I pay 100 rupees, he will treat me like a prince. You see that, the difference. To get the same service, you pay far lesser, but so that's why GDP per capita is not a good indicator. Our GDP, for that matter, is not a good indicator. So many, in fact, my friend, um, he's an IAS officer in the government in the kind of principal secretary rank. So he keeps saying that India is a country, is a union of 29 countries. And some states, if you look at some states, GDP, etc., is really very high, GDP per capita, GNP. In some states, you have a third world country kind of situation. There's a huge parity that we were talking of, right? So it's important that we recognize the skills and how we address the problem, right? So mining industry in Australia, technology wise, we've got the best. I told, right? Mets. Did I say Mets? Did I introduce you to an abbreviation called Mets? METS? I'm sure I have. Huh? Excellent. Mining, equipment, technology, and services. So Met's capabilities are unparalleled. Australia perhaps ranks 1 to 10, and then the rest of the country starts from 10, 11, 12. So one of the excellent Met's capabilities. But one of the greatest challenge in the country currently is to attract people to minerals industry. And industries put a lot of money behind talent, hiring talent from the universities. They give scholarships. In fact, I was the founding academic of mining engineering program at Monash University back in 2013. We were struggling. In fact, the first group we were successful. At that time, it was very hard to get any minerals professionals in the country. Because one, you got aging population. That means people can only work up to, see, we have no retirement age. You can work up to 75 years.
That's still also mean that they have good standard of living compared to India. Because we have so much pressure in population and resources and the opportunities that we have here. That's the corruption that happens in the top level. But if we compare it, the person aged 70-year-old probably living a better life there in Australia compared to India, right?
But here also, highly skilled people are continuing to get jobs. It's not the problem. See, I'll show you another very interesting slide that I put it on LinkedIn 2 days back because I did some research on, I think you liked it, right? No. It's a very stark contrast that you see. Too many mushrooming number of private institutes, polytechnics. Quality is completely compromised. It really pains me when I go to visit some of these places. On the name, for the namesake, on the websites and everything, so attractive. But you go, actually, it's pathetic. In fact, I go and give a lot of lectures to several places, right? I ask them simple questions. Can you tell me, okay, this is my area, this is this. Can you tell me the volume? They couldn't tell me. That's the state of, again, from parents and students' point of view, they think, okay, I'm going to university, I'm going to college, because for parents, I'm paying the capitation fee. And the quality is so useless. They will never get a job. And that's what the industry complains. It's not that there are not many good jobs. Not many people are competent. And hence, those people who have already retired, they continue to hang on to some of the jobs. That was one of the things that I said in my LinkedIn post also. Most of these private institutions and understaffed institutions, they employ all the retired people. And for retired people, what is the motivation? Yes, they want to pull on some time. Okay, I'm getting some money, go speak a couple of lectures, that's it. You have some drive, right, to grow. Along with the country will grow. If you're only waiting to die, you know what I'm saying? Again, no offense to any individuals, but that's a reality today. Is that clear? Yeah? Then I want to draw your attention to this very, very important thing that I've briefly touched upon in the previous conversations. One is skills and capabilities. When it comes to skills and capabilities, we looked at what are the types of skills or expertise that are going to be needed to make or propel the critical minerals mission in the country in the previous slide. Now, this is something that is phenomenal to me. Chinese Society of Rare Earths. It got established in 1980s, I think 1982. So it has about 100,000 registered experts in it, on it. And that commensurates with this. Look at this. When you think uh, that between 2015 and 2019, China has filed more than 11,000 patents in critical minerals extraction and processing. 11,000. How many years? 2015 to 2019 is about 5 years, 4 to 5 years, right? Let's say. And if you divide that by 4, right? 5 times more than the second largest filer, 10 times more than Australia. As I said, 5 times more than second largest. And Australia is one of the mining dependent economy. And we don't have too much, R&D that's gone on to, and hence, world is suffering now. Who invested has more knowledge, more understanding of how to process, and hence, so that's what I'm saying. And then, in contrast, I also said to you something about AUSIMM, AUSIMM, Australasian Institute of Mining and Metallurgy, Canadian Institute of Mining, South African Institute of Mining and Metallurgy, SAIMM, and then SMI. The combined total membership of 1, 2, 3, 4 is less than 30,000. And again, this is not exclusively to look at rare earths. That is an exclusive body, just concentrating on rare earths, not even other critical minerals. This is everything, all mining together. Rare earths, critical minerals, other mining. The combined total membership is 30. So that's what is a clear distinguishing factor. So more you invested on your people, more knowledge you had, more knowledge you had, more capability you have. More capability you have, more market power you have. Are you seeing what I'm saying? So that's why people are the key. You may have sophisticated machines. See, now in Australia, there's something called FIFO. Again, we talked about FIFO, right? Because now we are unable to attract talent into the classrooms in the minerals industry. So mining industry started so many different things. FIFO, one of the one of the what you call carrot mining companies came up with this FIFO, an arrangement like, so people wants to always to be in the cities like in Hyderabad, but mining occurs in Dhanbad or maybe even interior parts of Bihar, Ranchi, or if you go for remote areas. For kids' education, because if you as you get married and so on and so forth, when you have children, you want to see, you want to send them to good schools and so on. No one wants to live in remote jungles. Most of the mining occurs, unfortunately, in remote areas. So how do you entice good, talented people to come into mining? Is FIFO. What you can do is you can place them in cities like Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, and then you give them a roster 9 days on, 8 days off. So you will be picked up from your home, literally. A car will come, then they'll take you to the airport, and then they'll put you on a plane, and the plane will go to Perth. Many of my students have done that. They used to have families in Melbourne, and they used to fly to Perth, which is almost 5 hours from, about 4 hours from Melbourne. Australia is a big continent, right? Nearly two times bigger than India. And then from there again, there will be a chartered flight of that company, which will be again another 500 kilometers away from Perth. They'll be taken there. They'll camp there for 9 days. They'll work, and then after 9 days, they'll come spend time with their families for 8 days, and again, same roster will continue. We are doing the same because best people will bring best outcomes. If you get someone who is a third class, again, no offense to anyone, but again, and hence that was where my motivation is. If you look at other than first generation IITs, IIT Hyderabad is lucky to get, if you look at high top 100 JE rankers, about 10, 6 to 10 comes to IIT Hyderabad because of the location advantage. If you go into Hyderabad, it's only about 1 hour from here. You will see, at least, no, you are not too far from Hyderabad. Although we are in Kandi, you will have that psychological feeling compared to an IIT that is having nothing. Just IIT campus is the major thing in that particular town. Who wants to go to that IIT compared to they'll come to IIT Bombay. If you look at top JE rankers, top 20 will go to IIT Bombay because of that location, the place. IIT had Delhi, IIT Madras. Because you want to have that social life, you want to have that opportunities, you want to have that connectivity to industry. So for all those reasons, people choose places. Why I chose Melbourne? Because Melbourne is one of the most beautiful places to live. It has been ranked successively the most livable city in the world. So it has everything. You got cricket, MCG, you got Australian Open happens there. You got a lot of cultural extravaganza goes on. There are a lot of beautiful lakes, connectivity, no terrorist activities, calm work-life balance. So that's why people choose places, right? So 5-4. So when best students come, their minds are always enterprising. They're working, okay, what should I do? What's my next research area? What should I discover? What should I invent? How do I, kind of commercialize? That recently our dean was speaking. MIT, we all know MIT, right? Can you guess how many patents they file in a year? Yeah, spot on. In fact, one professor, apparently, he files his own group file about 1,500. Oh, no, sorry. 20,000 is slightly higher. Sorry. But quite a significant number, about 2,000. One professor's research group itself put 150. Still, it's a big number, right? That means every student who joins in their group, they come up with some brilliant idea, patentable idea. Now IIT Hyderabad also has got 365 patents challenge, right? One day, a patent a day. Anyone from IIT? You're from IIT Hyderabad, right? You know that the challenge. Yeah, but 365, right? So that's a mission that director wants to kind of make sure people work towards. So when you get good, finally it's people. You may have best of the machines. So that's what 5 was one. But even 5 is not failing because still people are expensive. Taking people, insurance, everything is still expensive. And mining is becoming a bit um, challenging to be competitive. Then they discovered something else. They went completely humanless mining, Nintendo mining, right? So autonomous mining. People don't even want to kind of do that FIFO business anymore. Still, you are away from family. So rather, what you do, you sit in Perth, you sit in Melbourne, and then operate the machines on the mines, autonomous. autonomous haul trucks, autonomous drilling machines. Of course, there will be few people, but it's not completely, the same operations. So now people are getting to that. When you cannot find people, people are going that way, robotics and so on and so forth, IoT, Internet of Things. But that will still have limitation. Finally, what is the glue? Glue is people. Even that command has to be given to that machine. So finally, who has to press the button? People. Are you seeing what I'm saying? So we came long way from taking people, and then people get paid very heavy in mining industry. Some of my students, they get double my pay that I get after so many decades of experience. And these are very young guys. Maybe most of them are your age groups. They said 150,000, $150,000. Again, it's all about enticing. So you have to give some carrot, right? So that's very, very important. 11,000 patents and 10 times more than Australia. So that's one of the key thing when it comes to skills. And how China is able to be the leader in critical minerals is because of this long vision, far-sighted vision. If as a country we have to have that, you need to focus. In IT, was able to do it in IT sector. But again, a lot of people criticize now. Everyone wants to become IT. The core area skills are almost diminishing in India. No one wants to work in the core sector. That's a bit of criticism now I'm hearing.
Because even in campus placements, no companies come for home. Everyone wants a job at the end of the day. So
Even if they come, they can never match the salary, right? The softwares, what happens is it's more service. You're servicing Europe's economy, you're servicing Australia's economy, you're servicing America's economy. So they get paid in dollars. In fact, now the story in those countries is what most of the high earning people, they get chopped because why would I pay you as a director of some IT firm? With that salary, I can hire 5 people in India and who are far more brilliant. So that kind of thing also is happening. A lot of offshoring, right? So that's a typical mining value chain. I think we have spoken about it. What you have upstream, again, we have been listening to this word upstream, midstream, and downstream. What is upstream? Upstream is about exploration and mining, which is exploitation or extraction. And then midstream is processing. And then downstream is all about manufacture and end of life recycling. So mainly exploration is to identify new deposits, initial resource and reserve estimation, pilot facility, production facility, and midstream is about your crushing, grinding. What is crushing and grinding together is called combination. Excellent. Yeah. And then downstream is, for example, when you're talking of midstream, crushing and grinding of rock ores, and then evaporation of extraction of brines, and then processing into lithium carbonate or lithium hydroxide, for example, right? And when you go further downstream, which is into downstream, whether you use that lithium hydroxide or lithium carbonate to produce a cell cathode and or electrolyte, and then assemble that into kind of batteries and so on and so forth, right? So then you got secondary resource. Again, we got one lecture dedicated on this secondary prospectivity, which is becoming very, very important, vital. In the past, we never cared for all this gallium, germanium, indium, strontium, and so on and so forth. Today, people are hunting for them. And same thing, I told you, right? Chromium used to be a pollutant. Arsenic used to be a pollutant. Cadmium used to be a pollutant. But today, people are chasing them, right? People are ready to pay money for that, sourcing them. So is that clear? What is downstream? What is this? What is that? Yeah. So again, if you look at skills type movement, uh, so this is the future skill type proportion, the yellow, and the black dots are the current skill type. So this report, I think, was produced in 2018. So perhaps some of that, some of that is current as well. So what you're saying is that's zero, and you go outwardly, and each, what is that shape called? Hexagon, right? Each hexagon, as you move outwards, so the percentage reduces. And what you require here is, for example, social skills type on this axis. On this axis, on this corner, you have got resource management skills type, right? And then on this axis, what you have got is complex problem solving skills type. And then basic skills type, technical skills, and system thinking skills. So these are the different types of skills people kind of bunched some of these expertise areas into, right? And how things are changing, as you can see, people are more system thinking skills are going to be very, very important. So something that I talked about, mind to mill. You remember? Mind to mill. After this lecture, I'll screen two videos. One is mind to mill video, and the other one is eliminate mining. Yeah? Mind to mill. And the other similar, pit to port. Pit to port. Then mine to market. So that holistic system thinking is very, very important because you want to break the silos. If you work in silos, you don't know what you're expected to deliver. In the process, you develop your energy consumption, your water consumption, your reagent consumption, right? So to avoid that kind of duplication or double dipping, you want it to be a system thinker. So as you can see that these are the kind of skills that are going to, and then social skills. See, this is going to be tremendously important activity, skill that people are literally lacking. Now, there's something called SLO. Have you heard of SLO? And I keep telling you about. So this was one of my kind of acronym that I came with. What is ISR? So we are aware of SLO, right? Social license to operate. How many of you are heard of this? Social license to operate. Social license to operate. Sorry? US they're coming up. There is a mine they're getting. No. Social license to operate is age old issue. So if you are running a business, whether that business is having approval rating of your stakeholders, that's called social license. So, for example, if you want to set up a factory in Kandi, one, you have to get acquisition of land. See, that's what I said. Minister Nitin Gadkari's portfolio is about laying highways, national highways. And I think even yesterday, they were doing something in Delhi. Dwarka, isn't it? Amazing. Prime Minister was walking. Those I came from Kurnool last night. You can't believe he got stuck in traffic. This is only 4 hours travel between Kurnool. Had it been Australia, probably it's less than 2 hours. It's only 200 kilometers, 250 at the most. Imagine how many hours we got stuck on the roads. We were on the road for at least 7 hours, 7 good hours. What time did it start? What time did it start? We went to a temple called that Shakti Pitam. Is there Alampur? Alampur. We went on the way. Um, I think we left Karnool about 12 o'clock afternoon. What we came to here is because all people went on holidays, right? They had four days long weekend holidays, and everyone was coming. It was jam packed. No one had any patience. Everyone, even little space, then they were boom, boom, boom. I said I would go mad if I were to drive that. So, um, yeah, traffic is yeah, none. I think while going, we went so well, so well. Within 4 hours, 4 hours, we were in Karnool. Uh, Absolutely. I think those people who left around 11 o'clock also came quite early. But after that, again, the rush started, became, too much on the roads, congestion. Yeah, exactly. And trucks and it's only two-lane road. So why I said is a bit of digress. A lot of people have tremendous praise for Nitin Gadkari as a minister, right? What he says is land acquisition in that particular ministry is phenomenal. R&R, rehabilitation and resettlement, R&R, right? That's becoming a very big thing. So because if highways have to be built, I told you this, right? The logistic cost in different countries. Did I say that? No? Again, if you look at why China becomes so competitive, you look at logistic costs. Logistic means if you are producing a product in your factory, from there to market, the travel that is involved is called logistic. Apparently, in India, it's about 16%. 16% of the cost of anything that you buy is attributed to the logistic side of cost. Europe, America, it's about 9%. Guess where China stands? Yeah?
It's less than that.
Less than that. So about 6%. How can you become competitive? So again, to get to what China does, I've been to China many times. Every time I go, mind blowing. I went to a city called Xi'an, which is a third tier city. So maybe Kolhapur kind of thing in India, not even Hyderabad. The airport of the city is 10 times Rajiv Gandhi International Airport. A third tier, or maybe 2.5 tier, let's say, not third tier. Like that, vision. So the logistics, roads. Mining also requires huge land area, right? Does someone have an idea as to how many hectares of land is likely to be required by mining? How many hundreds of hectares? At least hundreds of hectares, right? If not thousands. In some cases, thousands. In Australia, it's all about thousands. One farmer holds about 2,000 acres of land, right? Because it's a massive country and very less people. So logistics is very important, right? So to reduce logistics, government has to lay good roads, network, trains, flights, so that people can move fast. And then that way you reduce your cost. Even now they are thinking of dedicated uh, freight corridor, rail network. One is passenger trains, other one is because good services. Because some things cannot be held. Some are perishable items. They must reach. If they are deported today, they must reach tomorrow to be consumed. For example, milk. And if they are on the highways and stuck like this, what I did yesterday, imagine it would go sterile, right? So that's why you need that logistic things. So social license is what? Approval from your stakeholders. Okay, people living around must accept it to set up your factory there in that locality. They should be able to sell their land. Okay, I'm happy to give this land of mine, although I'm holding it for 2 centuries. in my family, someone has to sacrifice something for development to happen. If everyone wants to hold on, where's the development? It's the same in every country, right? So social license means, social means what? The society must approve that particular venture. Social license to operate. To operate your company or your factory, you must have that license, which is of the community, which is social. If you don't have, what will happen? Again, this is something my version of it. Slow. The project gets delayed, right? If you don't have a social license to operate, your project will run slowly. Just you have to build dams, you have to build roads, you have to build railways, you have to build airports. The country is building massive infrastructure at the moment. If you compare how many airports we have in the country, even many towns that I never heard that they've got airports like Hubli, Belgaum, Karapa, Karnool, everywhere airports are getting built. Again, when you have to build an airport, you require massive runway and huge area of land. Someone has to give, because government may have big holding, but still you still require private entities to kind of sell that land to, and the governments cannot pay you the market price. That's another issue in the rehabilitation and resettlement. See, market price would be say 2 crores per acre, but government can only pay government approved rates. So it's a big challenge. Just think of government's challenges. Then we'll have better appreciation of what they do, isn't it?
So yeah, we have this concept of SLO.
Yeah, of course.
Is it approved by government or does it actually listen to the mining community, people like areas near mining?
So maybe I'll tell off the camera, but they do it. Yeah, maybe we'll talk after the recording is over. They do it. The process is done in every country, like in India also. But
license, it's license to operate, prospecting.
License to operate.
Like just to license to operate. Community meetings will be there.
Yeah, yeah.
At least they have to, 3 meetings should be compulsory.
Compulsory.
Yeah, I mean, I got it. But then, because recently there was this mining engineers, mining ministers meeting happened in Guwahati. So apparently they have found some minerals, that can be critical, can be important in northeastern part of India. And apparently there are some reserves in Meghalaya, but people are opposing it because they have this traditional thing of sacred forest and everything. But even that thing happened in Assam as well. Like it was an rainforest area, Eastern Himalayan part, but still, like government forcefully, probably it's Adani itself, went and drilling it. It's a Dihimbatka reserve forest. So in that case, the government I'm not sure about other countries, just in India, they actually think about it. They actually think about the uh, forest area, forest cover, or all this. I mean, it's not about human displacement, right? It's also about the displacement.
Ecosystem.
Ecosystem. Does they actually care about it?
Yeah, they do. To reasonable extent, they do it. Reasonable extent. But again, what happens is when it becomes a national security issue, which in critical minerals it is, right? It's a national security issue. That's why there's so much happening.
Also have to protect our environment, right?
That's okay. Environment you can recreate. See, deserts have become thriving forests.
Also apply for mining license in Assam states and all. It take 25 years for us to get.
Exactly.
25 years.
It takes time. It's a long drawn process. That's what I was saying. In fact, the other comparison that I want to bring is Ministry of Road Transport, it gets everything done like that, right? But whereas mining, it takes long time. Yes. Thanks for reminding. That means they go through all that process. See, I come from very mining infested area called Singareni, my hometown. When I was growing up, it was pristine forest, dense forest. The tigers used to be wandering around our communities. Today, it is completely, paddy fields, mines, all the forest is destroyed. So again, when it comes to mining, even NTPC struggles this, National Thermal Power Corporation. So it takes long time for them to acquire land. But whereas the highways does it very fast. So again, I'm just trying to give you a bit of sense of why in one sector it happens, why the approval rating is high in one sector, why approval rating is not.
Thing is that in mining area, as government says, they need the permission, but mostly government supports the forest plan. Like we guess MOEF, Ministry of Environment and Forest. They don't, even if it is, in fact, there's a kind of forest area. Forest areas, there is three, four types. In fact, forest area and wildlife. If they, that critical mineral or any mineral comes under it, that they won't be giving any permission.
Yeah, yeah.
That forest area is some other for them we give the permission. If you
Absolutely.
consider the highways, they don't come under that kind of a wildlife or elephant environment. That is the
Corridors, yeah.
second point is that mining we do have a very bad impact in India comparatively. Highways they don't have any impact.
Everywhere is the same. Everywhere is the same. Don't only reflect on.
In India, people are not ready because they always feel that they will damage and they will go. That is the regular mindset.
Just probably they say that we are past experience.
And yes, even Jaria,
True.
what's happening?
No, Goa, I have a lived experience in Goa. Goa used to be beautiful. Ecotourism was thriving back when I went to work in Goa. Beautiful beaches, a lot of foreign tourists used to come, right? Mining used to massacre. So there are two contrasting Goas. One is the picturesque, beautiful. Yeah. So we have covered only one slide so far. She's giving me a hint that 5 more minutes. So yeah, Supreme Court has come and heavily they banned all the mining in Goa.
Yes, sir.
Complete mining. Complete mining got stopped since 2015. So now 10 years, a decade of no mining, zero mining. So India, the laws are strict. Implementation also, again, someone has to put their mind, head, and everything else into.
Because in mostly like we have seen the never plantation, they will just plant some trees and keep pictures. Like companies, like they would do their work and they would just leave. Probably that's why people are also because I'm not sure because in the case of Tata Steel as well, there was a report that a lot of displacement happened and people were really angry at them. Uh, but then the news has been like compressed off and all. But then in that way, our laws are really strict about it. Are they really thinking about forests? Are they really thinking about displaced people?
It is happening. See, now Singareni is a live example where people don't give up. Many years the litigation cases go in the court. And until then, nothing can. But that's why what they do is what they do is, okay, how people will give their land is, okay, if I'm getting any benefit out of it. If my son or my daughter is getting an employment, that's good. See, country has to progress, right? If you think environment is everything, where the country will progress. It happens every part of the world. We become very critical to our own because we see our own country, right? But if you travel around, the process is exactly the same. I'll tell you off the record. When we go break for a tea. But what I'm saying, the Goa example is a very, strong case of how our laws are everything. They can.
Or not. Maybe mining forms.
Yeah. They've gone bankrupt. People have lost jobs. Hundreds and thousands of people have lost jobs.
Like mine.
But the Supreme Court said no mining, nothing. So that's the same country.
Maybe it's a win for some section, it's a loss for some section, right?
That's right.
It's an environmental win, it's a Western Ghats biodiversity preservation.
That's right.
I mean, it's a very contradictory thing, right?
But early stages of any country's progress, mining and minerals form the foundation. See, because you don't have to do anything. Just you have to dig out and sell and you will get money into your exchequer. That's a natural endowment. In a factory, you have to spend money, you have to buy equipment, you have to produce something. Here, nothing. Just you have to dig up and then sell it. Anyway, so what we are looking at here is again skills movement industry challenge, slow to embrace the complexities of challenging landscapes, an increasing aging workforce I was talking about. When people are aging, people work long. It's not that people wants to work. When you have no availability, just to keep the economy going, people have to still do that working. Workforce resistant to adapt digital and organizational changes. So some of these are some of the again issues identified by the same report, right? So this again digital mining report, workforce insights. You can look at mining industry value chain as we looked at in the previous slides. Exploration, mining operations. So impact of digital on the the unit operation, and then impact on the workforce, and then skills demands and identified. As you can. But anyway, I'm going to pass on these slides so that you can. But that's what that particular report brings out. And then again, processing integrated upstream and downstream operations to optimize processing, asset utilization optimization, because many of the mining equipment, see, especially my friend here would know, we have got a machine called dragline. Yes. Yeah, you know that. It's a huge equipment. Do you know what is the cost of it? Any guess?
100, 200 crores.
No, that's too less. Close to $200 million. And it's a big equipment. Big means almost it can scoop this entire room volume in one go. 28, 38 cubic meters, about 200 million. When you buy such high capex, have you heard of these two words like capex and opex? Excellent. Capex, opex, they call it. Capex is what? Capital expenditure, right? Capital means machinery, buildings, etc., etc. That's capex. So when you have a machine of 200 million, downtime of even an hour is a huge money. So downtime can occur two reasons. One is because of less utilization. We might extend a little bit. Less utilization. Other one is breakdown, right? Yes. Breakdown, maintenance, etc. So that's very, very important. When you have $200 million equipment, downtime of 1 hour can cost you a fortune. So one is utilization. That's why we are talking of that, utilization. Where did we see that utilization thing? Somewhere.
So transport.
Yeah, transport. Yeah. Asset utilization, very, very important, key. So it must be used 24 hours, 365 days, 3 shifts. Then you have a high productivity. Do you know what is productivity, by the way? What is productivity? What is productivity? How do you write productivity? Output by input. So if you want to be 100% productivity, achieved. So that means your input is same as output. So if your input is more and output is less, then your productivity goes down, right? Sometimes, in the mining of my time, we used to have 50% productivity. Very bad. So increasing productivity is the key aim, right? So you have to utilize everything. You have to utilize people, you have to utilize equipment, you have to for example, in this IIT itself, you've got so many classrooms, so many convention centers, you've got big capital expenditure, right? Really, how many of them are used on a regular basis? Not. Again, universities, that's okay because we run in semesters, we run in, that's fine. But can we run into 3 trimesters so that, utility becomes better? Or can we hire some of these facilities to external people so that they can come and run their conferences here? So that's what even universities in Australia do. Some went from semester system to trimester system. Someone said, okay, and the hiring is common there. Anyone can, you and I can hire facilities in the universities and do our programs. And then you have to pay the insurance, etc. So then end-to-end value chain, some of the other important things. So the other report is this, the key points in this report, the talent gap, the serious and growing skills gap is significant risk facing value chain. Because finally it's people who are fundamental to making any technology work, right? Someone has to type still, right? The typist must be, I'm not saying typist, whoever is giving that command must be people. See, the disaster that struck Ahmedabad, the aeroplane, it's finally, see, you may have the best of aircrafts. Finally, pilots are important. You know that 90% of the aeroplanes, airplane crashes are due to human errors. 90, even I think it's slightly higher. Very few instances, it's, the machine being faulty and so on and so forth. Because things have become much reliable nowadays. Then mining engineering, mineral processing, and metallurgical skills are in short supply. That's a global problem. Industry, academia, regulators are required to access to the necessary skills. Very important. There was a time mining engineering academics were not available in the world, leave alone students and so on. So if you look at even India's case, again, a couple of slides I have on India also. Then modernizing perceptions will be key, attracting talent and sustaining the industry. Every actor has a role to play to address the skills gaps, and greater collaboration is required. That's very, very important. So hence, everything that I did was to collaborate, bring people together. Only when we all talk to each other, especially we need to take our words into the policymakers' ears, and then they'll if they listen what they want to listen, you are successful. It's not again, that's what I say. All politicians are not bad, and especially people who have reached, that wherever that highest stages. For them, money doesn't matter really. Okay, money has a limitation to a certain extent, but beyond that, it's all about, it will trickle down to these people. In my case, at least, wherever I took whichever proposal to governments, they all listened to it, and then we saw to it that they are implemented. Again, the skills gaps, metallurgy, then some of the value chains, as you can see. So metallurgy, 4 to 12 year experience ranges, mineral planning, regulatory resource, underground, integration, engineering, recycle, some of the value chains, and then measures to improve supply. So again, that's that UK report, IM3's report. Yeah. And then here are the some action things that they've proposed to governments. There are few things that governments have to do, few things industry has to do, few things academia has to do. So everyone has their own share. So for example, this course is a result of what government can do. The minister cannot see, whether Mohan is teaching or just telling some stories, right? It can happen. But what they can do is they can give you the funds to run a program, whether students are really learning or not, right? Now I'm going to ask question, then if I don't get answer, that means you are not paying attention. You cannot blame government for that, what I'm saying, right? So IIT is hosting that. I'm teaching it. Where the students are learning, teaching is something different to learning, right? There's a teaching learning. You teach something, someone to learn. Earlier, it used to be just academic centered. Now it is both. Learner becomes the key. I may talk for the next 20 hours, but if you haven't got a single point of what I was trying to make, what's the use? So those who are inspiring to become teachers, they should keep make the sessions more interactive, ask questions, involve. So this is like in gender parity. All our um, girls in the room, see how bad it is. Again, we got data until 2030. Oh, sorry, that's 2013. But 2025 may not be too different. Maybe they've achieved 16%, 17%. That's it. The parity is huge.
What's the reason for decreasing? It's 8.8, 10, 8.4, 7.9 plus that. What can we
Yeah, it could be because there was a bit of more inflow of males, and then women, then the females remain steady, but male inflow may be higher for that particular year. But again, sometimes not every time we get the same fortunate cohort that wants to kind of take some adventurous career paths, right? Mhm. Then SWOT analysis of the mining sector. This was of Indian case study that I was talking about. So if you look at strengths, SWOT analysis, right? All of you are familiar with SWOT. You should do for your own self. Every now and then you should sit, do nothing, keep your phones away, sit with pen and pencil, do SWOT analysis of your own. Phones are very big distractors sometimes, you should keep your phone in a cupboard, lock it, then sit sometimes. So that's very important in life. Otherwise, hard to focus, right? You find the same thing? Sometimes, yes, you should do that. So here are some of the parameters impacting the mining sector's competitiveness in India. So again, one of the most important thing that they identified as being skill shortage. So skills is the key. Again, the skills doesn't mean that merely attending the university or college. There are so many third-class universities, sorry, third-class engineering colleges I've seen. But skills for, I don't know whether you heard these two terms. One is job readiness. Have you heard of this? I'm sure. Have you heard of this? Job readiness? Yeah. The other one is job capability. People talk often job readiness skills because again, jobs can be different in different industries. So it's a chemical engineer passing out may work in pharmaceutical, may work in textiles, may work in something else, something. So the skills that are required in pharmaceuticals are different to textiles to something else, something else. You can never be job ready from that sense. But what you can become is you can become job capable. You can walk out of a university or institute with job capable skills. That means you put in this industry, you quickly learn because you're a quick learner, then you become that. Yeah. Professor Narula is here, so I have to finish. Although our friend is saying, you should stop, I'm continuing, but maybe two more. So this is something that I want to kind of end with. Look at, this is slightly dated numbers, 2017. But I looked up even the current statistics. I asked Tushar to look up. So Tushar said that currently in India we have similar number, somewhat 2036. How many are there? So this is 2020 mining operations in the country. my former PhD student and an assistant professor at NIT Rourkela, he sent me. I asked him to kind of do some number crunching, and he sent me a text message saying that, sir, it's 2032. So we have got total 2036 operations in the country in different states. Again, the spread would be similar, if not the same. This is where mining operations are, and if you look at the mining institutes, so there are, I'm putting IITs and NITs are tier one because of the quality. Then CSIR labs, of course, CSIR labs mainly their main thing is only research. They don't do teaching. Government and public funded institutions, which is state run, like Usmania University in Hyderabad. If you look at JNTU, someone is from JNTU, right? Oh, we had that student from JNTU, chemical engineering. No, student. There was a student from JNTU, chemical engineering. He said again, he also doesn't have regular academic staff, all contract based staff. So if you look at, there's East India is different to West India. East part of India is different to Western part of India. So what I'm saying is now country has about 23 IITs and nearly 32 NITs. My LinkedIn post have said that. So why can't we stop? We should stop all the state-run universities. In fact, I went to the CNMD of a state government organization who is an electrical engineer. He said, Mohan, I gave 3 crores to a university and they spent 3 crores and then they came again next 3 crores. How long I will continue to give? He says, they don't have money to even fix a leaking tap in toilet. That's a state of affairs in most, in the state-run universities. So that's a thing again I want to leave you with. So this I just created as an academic exercise because when we were proposing Center of Excellence for IIT, and in fact I'm strongly, we took Professor Murthy and I met the Chief Minister of the state, Deputy Chief Minister of the state multiple times, and the Minister, and then Mines Minister. He said, we need to have this. And that, hence the Center of Excellence now has been given to IIT Hyderabad. So again, think global, act local. Yeah. So again, if you look at that same book, the same report, this report, some more projections, human resources, skills requirement in the mining sector, the projections for sure. I think I'll stop there. So this is something that I created, just to again, that bring that the community of practice together. And Professor Narula is a very long-term friend of mine and also a terrific researcher and colleague. So she's here. She took pains to come all the way from Delhi to again educate you. Community of practice is very important to remain together. Again, I take back you to the Chinese Society for Rare Earths. We need to build the knowledge, and that knowledge will again be useful for our own country. We have to see. Have you watched a movie called Swades? Anyone? Those who have not, you should watch a particular scene that I am referring to now. Should go. A big river is going next to a village, and the people are facing drought just on the banks, waiting for some rain to come. They're looking towards the skies. Very, very touching scene. Swadesh. So it's like that. Who will save the country? You and I. You think one day God will come and say, oh, no, everyone's problems will be taken out? No. And no society is likewise. Everywhere the struggle is there. And we have to, someone who struggled during education, they will have a better life. Those who have not, they will continue to have the life hard. Someone, that's where the human capital. Okay, on that note, I'll kind of end this session. So then again, going back to the kind of vision that I had. So this is the kind of vision that we are all working towards. And now IIT Bombay, we did our first workshop that also got a Center of Excellence. IIT Hyderabad, that we did our second symposium, another center of excellence. And IIT Roorkee, I kind of established a trilateral partnership between government of Uttarakhand, IIT Roorkee, and now IIT Roorkee also. I feel very satisfied for what I'm doing. Again, I'm an individual, right? I'm not trying to boast anything here, but with sincere effort. And then, we convinced the government. Government gave us 5 million. We went to state government. State government said, they will also fund a center of excellence at IIT Hyderabad. When I can do, why can't you do? I think at that note, I'll conclude my session. So we'll have a quick. Do we have break or? Huh? What's the time now? What time we are supposed to come back? 30. Or 11 o'clock only this session.